Hi, Jerry Peterson here with Practice Brokers. In this video, what we're going to do is talk about accounts receivable. Accounts receivable is perhaps the most difficult component when you're doing a business appraisal. Whereas tangible assets had a fair market value, accounts receivable, it's essentially money. So what we're going to be doing is trying to determine the present value. And so the present value, the way to look at this, what would somebody pay you now before your account receivable is collected? That's the simplest way to wrap your brain around this. So we're going to need you to do a few things in order for us to determine what that present value is of your accounts receivable. So what I'd like to do is to say there's essentially 4 steps. Step 1 is purging the accounts. And what I'd like you to do there is to print out a list of every man, woman, and child that owes any money to the clinic. And you grab a pen and go through each name. Now, and what we're doing is we're purging accounts. This person's deceased. This person's moved away. That person's bankrupt. Who the heck is this guy? So essentially, any account that's not collectible, we need to remove that in the purging process, right? So step 1, let's remove all the garbage basically out of the AI. The second step we're going to do is we're going to determine your historical collection rate. We need to know when a dollar goes into your accounts receivable, historically what's been popping out of there. So the 2 bits of information we need is 1, your services, your gross billings. Here's what we billed out. And the second bit of information is what did I collect. And we like to get that in monthly stats, monthly numbers, and we look at about a 5-year period. So as an example, say that there's a year where you billed out $500,000 and you collected $300,000. What that tells us is you have a historical collection rate of 60%. Now, the one little caveat I want to mention here is, and this isn't common, but some clinics, what they'll do is they'll take their gross billing. Say the office visit was $175, that's their billing. But they know this particular insurance company pays $31. And what they will do, instead of taking that $175 and putting that in ARs, they will adjust it to $31 before they put it in ARs. If you're doing that, we just need to know, because that's going to be very helpful to know how you're handling your ARs. Most clinics, that $175 goes to AR, and when the account gets collected, you got your 31 in collections, as an example. The next component is time value of money. And for us to be able to determine time value of money, what we need is an aging report, like the 1 to 30, 31 to 60, 61 to 90. So after you purge your accounts, we need to know what is the aging balances of those accounts receivable. Now, if you have a clinic that you're doing a lot of PI, a lot of it's going to be very old stuff, right? If you have a clinic where you don't do any PI and have quick turnaround, almost all of it's going to be in 1 to 30 days. What I need to know is your particular clinic. Here are our ARs. Here's how much is 30, 60, 90, etc. That's going to be extremely helpful for us. Then the fourth component, when we do the present value of your accounts receivable, is just called inherent risk. Anytime that you're paying for something in advance, there's always some risk involved. So we don't need anything from you on that part. I just wanted to tell you that that's part of the process of how we get your present value. So a couple of frequently asked questions we get is like, well, what do I do with my PI accounts? Well, that's going to depend on why you're getting the appraisal. If you're getting you're not selling your clinic, don't do anything special. Just go ahead and give us the information. However, if you're selling your clinic, here's what we'd like you to do. For your PI cases, we just need you to identify active and inactive accounts. Inactive would be the patients that are just no longer coming into the clinic. You're waiting for settlement. And the reason we do that is because typically when a practice is sold, the buyer isn't going to be interested in buying your inactive PIs. You just simply keep them. Now, by virtue of identifying in advance, we already have them pre-collated for you, basically. The other question we have is that how does my associate impact my valuation as far as accounts receivable? And that's pretty simple. Depends how you pay them. If you're paying them a salary, the good news is don't do anything. It's not going to have any impact. However, and this is pretty common, if you pay your associate a percentage of collections, think this through. They delivered the service, the billing went out, they didn't get paid yet. Once the accounts receivable is paid, there's their collections, a percent goes to them and a percent goes to you. So what we do is that a lot of times when you have an associate that's paid on percentage of collections, we need to have you separate that out from you or anybody else in the clinic so that we can take that into account when determining what the clinic owns of their accounts receivable. hope you followed that. If not, and basically what happens, anytime you get into the weeds with this stuff or just want further guidance, you're always welcome to call our office, 888-878-0027. Heather and myself, we'd be more than happy to answer any questions. The one other thing I wanted to mention here too is that, especially if you have ChiroTouch, a lot of times what they will do is they'll separate out insurance and cash patients. Just make sure you send both of those reports to us. It's very helpful. But once again, this is the most difficult part of the valuation. If you have any questions, just give us a call. But hopefully that goes well for you. Thank you.